Hey, Amy.
Yeah, Juan.
Give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? Welcome to another episode of Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez. Once again, let's get this business out of the way. Make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube. Write us comments. There was a lot of comments on the last episode that we did. We love that. We love interacting with you guys. We want to hear your thoughts, what you think about the conversation that Amy and I are having. Right, Amy?
Oh man, I love it. When you guys leave comments and we get to interact with you guys, it's the best. Whether it's, you guys are leaving comments on the YouTube channel or you're hitting us up on socials, if you guys are DMing us, it's great I just love talking baseball. So getting to talk baseball with our listeners is awesome to boot.
To boot. Wow, you sound so Canadian there. To boot, everybody.
Well.
So we start the show like we always do with any base running blunders. I don't have any base running blunders because I'm perfect, Amy. What about you?
I want to be perfect too. I don't think I have any unless you guys caught something that I didn't. Let me know. But I think as of right now, we're sitting on a clean game, so no errors.
All right, there we go. And if we have, nobody's said anything to me. So if you catch something, feel free to reach out to us and let us know. So let's go to the update desk. Amy, what updates do we have before we get into the madness that is Shohei Ohtani?
I know you're so excited for that. You can barely contain your joy. It looks like, so just kind of poking around on the social media, and I guess there was why am I blanking on the type of newspaper article there was, but letters to the editor. There we go. Words today are just a challenge. I'm going to base running blunder myself right out of this episode. But there have been letters to the editor in the LA Times, so people still voicing their opposition of the project. Somebody posted on Stop the Gondola. There is an action. They're asking for people to go in and put a hold on the motion that's currently in progress on the project, in favor of just doing a comprehensive objective traffic study for Dodger Stadium. So essentially, the project that is underway and moving through different groups and councils, we're now asking to hold to potentially actually do the traffic study that probably would have lended itself at the beginning of this process.
Amy, again, I've talked about this on previous episodes. This feels like shenanigans. I know you and I were talking about this off air. I don't know what you would call this this thing on social media. What would you call it? It's not a survey, but
It's a legitimate, you're going to the LA city clerk and it's their council file management system. And so if you go to Stop the Gondola on X, they have it loaded up there. It's for Council District 1. And it's essentially, they give you the instructions for, if you are opposed to this project, if you believe, even maybe you're in favor of it, but you believe we really should put a hold on it and do this study, this is where you can go. Or I'm sure you can go to the city site as well.
But is it a petition? That's the word I was looking for.
Oh, sorry. No, it's not a petition. It's the actual council file. So it's for whatever stage of the council that it's in right now. It is a request to put a hold on. It's a motion, essentially, to put a hold on the project.
And we don't know yet if you have to be a resident of that district to be able to go to the website and let people know, or let the council people know how you feel about this, right?
No, it's saying that this is for the office of the city clerk. It's a public comment form. So it's not asking for, there's no zip codes or anything. It's not asking for your address. It's asking for a name and an email address. It's already got the council file number in there, which happens to also be 24-0011- looks like S is in Sam 4. And then you can just put in, hey, I would like to put a hold on this project. I'm not in favor of the project in general. You can just put like 1 or 2 sentences, and then you submit it. It'll send you an email asking you to confirm your address just to make sure you're not a robot. And then you're basically filing your public comment with the city clerk's office.
And for those of you watching us or listening to us for the very first time, this is in reference to the gondola project, the gondola that is proposed to being built that would go from Union Station to Dodger Stadium. We have been covering the story, and it's an ongoing story. Check out our past episodes, starting with LA Confidential. After that, we have updates on the other episodes if you want to get the rest of the details. But we promised you, and this story is important to us. So anytime we get anything new, we are going to go ahead and relay it to you because this fires Amy up, man. Right, Amy?
I'm always on the side of the community, and like if you see any of the letters to the editor that were posted in the LA Times, some of them are just saying like basically, how would you feel if you walked out your door and you saw this, these huge posts, which is basically what we were discussing on the last episode. So a lot of people just echoing the same things. It's really not going to cut down on traffic. This is going to impact the people in that area, and the amount of people who are actually going to be served getting into Dodger Stadium is really it's not going to necessitate the construction and the amount of work and funds that are going to go into it when we have other alternatives that work that we can put resources into. So it's just more of kind of the same of the community outcry is no, and yet we have public officials that are moving forward with the project that a lot of people are in opposition to.
And thank you for that update, Amy. For those of you who have listened or watched our last episode called My Boyfriend's Back, you guys know that we spent a lot of time talking about Amy's boyfriend, Kike Hernandez. But we also have an update on Kike, right, Amy?
I think it's funny that you call him my boyfriend when he just happens to be my favorite player. So I'm going to figure out which player is your favorite, and I'm going to dub him your boyfriend going forward.
Look, let's be clear. We're talking about the only people on this show. So between you and I, you love him more than I do. So
I do, but we're not at boyfriend status. Like he is legit my favorite player, and I'm just saying.
There you have it. I took it a step too far, calling Amy a homewrecker. I didn't mean to do that, Amy. But
sorry
please,
to Kike's wife.
exactly. Now he's never coming on this show. But
right.
There was something you wanted to tell the audience about Kike, right?
Yeah, so he actually got interviewed by Dave Vassay on AM 570 last night, and some of the stuff like we all, well, I won't assume we all knew, but it was in the social media and the news that he did have surgery at the end of last season, a double hernia surgery. And what was surprising to me when I heard this was I didn't realize he'd been dealing with this for the last 2 seasons. So especially when people are talking about like, well, his numbers have gone down, his production not so great. Well, turns out he's been dealing with this. It happened at the end of the 2021 season. He tried to rehab it in the offseason, he said, and then he just played through it in 2022. And then obviously in 2023, had about 4 to 5 MRIs, and then finally went to Philadelphia and saw a specialist. And they confirmed that not only was it on the left side of his body, but he had it on both sides, so left and right. And so for him, he got by, he played through it. He said it's hard to know you even have an injury like that other than the pain. But it also explains like the disconnect that he's had over the last couple of seasons of how much he prepares, where he wants to be production wise and where he was. And he's just excited to have a fresh start. So good for him. It sounds like it explains a lot, and he has kind of a clean slate to come in and see if once he's had this surgery, if this will make all the difference.
I am curious if the surgery affected other teams' interest in him. Nothing has been confirmed, but there is a belief that a lot of us, that other teams were interested in signing him. Could there have been maybe multiple years in those offers? We don't know. But it is one of those things that, again, this serves as a reminder. Every time we sit there and go, this guy sucks. What the hell happened to him? Like, look, it happened with Tony Gonsolin last year. Tony Gonsolin was pitching. There's that old adage, right? Are you hurt or are you injured? And it seems like both Kike and Gonsolin were playing with injuries, and that has to impact your performance. So now, do we know if he's fully healthy? Is he fully recovered from this surgery? I think we're going to find out. I believe he's going to play as early as this Friday against the Guardians, right, Amy?
Yeah, and he's saying he feels good. He's good to go. He can feel the difference in how he's preparing this year versus how it's felt in previous years. And he did mention in that interview that there were teams interested in him, but that's only been as of late. So while he was healing, it gave him time in the off season to kind of get himself better. And then as interest started to grow in him, that's when he kind of wanted to reach out to the Dodgers and be like, all right, hey, like, is there a way to make this work or not? Because I need to make a decision for these other teams. And so that kind of got the ball rolling. So just interesting to hear how that kind of all played out. I'm just stoked that we have him on the team. I love watching him play. I mean, as we saw in the last episode, I think he's a great player. But I think to your point too, when we're looking at some of these players of like, are they hurt? Are they injured? Are they playing through it? I think that's endemic of this sport, right? Because the minute you get hurt, somebody's ready to come up and take your spot. So how many of these guys do play injured so that they don't lose that space on the roster to somebody else who comes up and replaces them?
Especially with Kike last year, because that was the last year of his deal and he was basically playing for a contract. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these players. I still can't get over how the Dodgers were able to get him for $4 million. And if he is healthy and he does have himself a good year, maybe that is going to parlay into a multi-year offer next year. Or
With the Dodgers.
maybe he just wanted to come here, win the World Series, and get to have the parade that he never got to have in 2020. And he sees how the Dodgers are loaded up, and he wants to go ahead and do that. But it seems like you said, I was not aware that it seems like his whole time in Boston, he was dealing with this.
Yeah, sounds like it. And I want to be more cognizant of putting myself in these guys' shoes a little bit more because I know even myself, I can tend to be pretty negative, like, oh, why is he playing like this? Or, hey, do better. And it's like, okay, what am I doing? Like, there's no way I could do anything like that. Like I had a headache at work today and I'm like trying to muddle through meetings, and this guy's got a double hernia. Tony Gonsolin's playing with like God knows what's going on with his arm. Like I can't even imagine what these guys are playing through at such a high level. Like I commend them. Like they're still going out there and they're producing. So even Kike's maybe not his best is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think those are all the updates that we have, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think we're in the clear on the updates.
So now we can talk about Otani Mania. Look, Amy and I have been having a good laugh about this because I think more than anybody, I'm the one that is just like, are we really going to overanalyze? And I made this a concerted effort, and I've talked to Amy about this, that I don't want to spend every show talking about Otani because it's just not interesting to me to overanalyze. But I will say that today was at the time we are recording this, it is Tuesday. At the time, getting to see him actually play in a Dodgers uniform in a game, I was getting excited. And what cracks me up, Amy, is the way not only I was reacting, but other people in social media was reacting. You would think this was his first game that he was ever playing in Major League Baseball. And I had to remind people that this guy has been in the major leagues for 6 years now. I've literally have people reaching out to me and saying, Juan, why does this feel like this is going to be his major league debut? But look, I bought into it. I was very excited to see what he was going to do today. What about you, Amy?
Well, I think it's because he also has a shot at the postseason. Like he's got a clear shot. You've got this guy who's such a high caliber player, and now he actually has a pathway to the postseason, like a not a guaranteed one, but a pretty good one. And you and I are in agreement. I think he's a great player. Definitely happy to talk about him as these different accomplishments come up. But I think you and I are kind of in agreement. Like the whole team for me is really the focus of like what's going on with each of these guys any given day. And I mean, he had a great game today. Like, and honestly, for me, what he did, that goes without saying, and I'm sure we're going to get to that in a second, was wonderful. but it was the people in the crowd, seeing the joy in the crowd, in the dugout, even just him walking around, like, it was electric. This is what makes baseball fun. This is what we need to give it that infusion where maybe more people come in and actually enjoy the game at whatever level, casual fan, deep dive nerd fan, whatever. Maybe just spending the day at the ballpark. But I think this is what baseball needs.
Aside from the fact that I learned that Shohei Ohtani is ridiculous, today there was one thing else I learned, and that is go to spring training during the week. There seemed to have been a lot of empty seats in that for Ohtani spring training debut. So I should go during the week, and it seems like I'd be able to get a really good seat. But so Shohei goes 1 for 3 today on his first at bat. He strikes out looking. And you could tell it made me laugh because I immediately thought to myself, wow, kind of makes a difference when you are in the batter's box in a live game setting. Because before we got all this analysis with batting practice. Oh my gosh, he hit 10 home runs on 21 swings. It's a little different when you're in the middle of the game. And I think what was funny to me was it looked like a guy who was having a hard time picking up the ball from the White Sox pitcher. And then his second at bat, he hit the ball hard. I mean, he smoked that thing, but he hit it right at the second baseman and hit into a double play. But that home run, Amy, the home run that he hit, and this is why I said he's ridiculous, and this is part of my excitement in getting to watch this guy play every day. This guy basically did an inside-out swing and hit a home run to left field. So I'm sitting there watching the game, and my daughter gets home just as Ohtani's batting from school. And she sits down next to me, and we're watching it, and Ohtani hits the home run, and we're just like, and she just looks at me, and she goes, he's so good. I'm like, I'm looking at her, trying to explain. I was like, do you realize how difficult it is what he just did there? Like, for most people, when you inside out, the result is a little bloop over the shortstop in left field, or depending if you're right-handed or left-handed. But this guy ended up hitting a home run. I was just blown away by it, and I totally bought into it. I'm just like, sign me up. I'm a Shohei now. I'm a Shohei.
Oh no, I didn't know that transformation was happening this afternoon. Oh gosh. I was on FaceTime with my friend on my lunch, and we were both watching it. Her feed tends to be a little faster than mine. I think it's about 40 or 50 seconds ahead. So she's like, "Oh shit." And I don't know what's happening. So she rewinds her TV so that I can watch it on her FaceTime chat. And then as she rewinds it, it's playing on mine. So I'm like watching it in stereo between our devices. And it was just like, just seeing the crowd erupt, you could see the smile on his face as he crossed home plate. It just like everybody's happy. This is what my positivity, my Care Bear stare, the inner part of like this is what I love. And so I was happy. I was happy for him. I was happy for the team and everybody there that was like dressed up. Like there was a guy who had like an American flag and a Japanese flag in his hat and sunglasses, and everybody had their cameras out. And like, what a great day for the people who did make it, even if there were empty seats out there.
Look, to me, it was just, it was when I saw the ball go over the fence, I'm like, of course he hits a home run in his first spring training game, because I mean, this guy's just ridiculous.
Well, how many people were sweating those first two where they were like, oh my God, he struck out. Oh my God, he hit into a double play. I was just wondering, like, how many people are panicking right now? And then he hits the home run and they're like, oh, I can breathe again.
I don't know if you saw, there's this video, and it's totally staged, and I think it was staged by a bunch of Giants fans. Did you see it?
Saw it, yes.
So they're watching Shohei's first at bat, and he strikes out, and they're all cheering. They're like in an office environment, and they're all cheering.
I only saw the tail end, so I didn't know that they were cheering when he struck out. I thought they were cheering for the home run, so that makes way more sense.
No. They were Giants fans, and it was the first at bat when he struck out looking. And they were all cheering, and then the guy walks in and goes, dude, it's just spring training. So unless I read that video wrong, and if not, that's going to be a base running blunder. Now you're making me doubt myself.
No, I did not. I did not mean to gaslight you. I was also multitasking this entire afternoon. So We'll check it, but you're probably right.
We're-
Yours makes more sense because honestly, while I was watching it, I was like, are those Giants fans? Are they cheering that he hit a home run? This doesn't make any sense. So your way was probably the right way.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw the post game when they were interviewed. There was a reporter there that asked him about the San Francisco Giants and his visit there.
They scrubbed it from what they posted online, but it was
Oh,
on
really?
yeah. So when at least the clip that I saw afterwards, because I saw it happen on the game feed, but then when I went to go look up the quotes later, that piece didn't, as you know, like sometimes when we're interviewing players, those interviews are longer than what actually makes it, on social media, because sometimes those interviews can be pretty long. From
Amy,
what
I'm
I
not
saw
gonna
on that clip,
I'm not gonna lie. I thought I heard the rest of the reporters after he asked that literally hiss, boo, like throw tomatoes at him or throw other forms of food because that question and this I
why?
think
Just why?
exactly. And this is what comes along with covering Shohei Ohtani, right? And that is everyone is coming out of the woodwork. And that question was, and I'm glad that he said it himself. I'm only answering questions about the game. But that question just seemed like, bro, like, where are you? We're in the future here. I don't know, get out from wherever you were, but that kind of nonsense, I think we need to prepare ourselves because I think we're going to hear that throughout the year because it is the Shohei effect. Like, yeah, you're going to be able to see him inside out a pitch and hit it to the opposite field he's going to do great, amazing things on the baseball field. And then we're going to have to deal with this off the field stuff. Like, come on, bro. Be
But
better than that.
I agree. Yes, be better than that because that's not a great representation of media. It's not a great representation of the fans, and that doesn't bolster the relationship between the players. But that has always been there in some form. There's always somebody asking a question like that. It happened during I think the 2020 season when Walker Buehler was first debuted his tight pants, and it ended up getting cut from a lot of the other like what got posted online, but one of the reporters asked him about his tight pants, and Walker Buehler stood up and said, "This is not the time or place," and then that person's name, and then walked out and ended the interview right there. And that's a moment where I still like in the right context, I will say to somebody, "This is not the time or place." Like because like that question, I mean, yeah, I guess you can ask whatever you want, but it's not going to ingratiate you with the players, and you're going to hear potentially the media hiss when that happens. Like, come on, bro.
So are you saying Shohei should have gone full Bryce Harper at that point? I mean, that's a clown question, bro. That's a clown question.
Maybe. I mean, that's something you can tell him off to the side when you see him.
I'll be like, hey, Shohei, next time somebody asks you a stupid question like that, you tell him that's a clown question, bro.
Now that you're a Shohei, you're going to have that relationship with him. So it's
or either that, you know what? I'm going to tell Shohei and be like, do somebody ask you that? Just say, no seas payaso. No seas payaso. There we go. Do that. Dave Roberts made some interesting comments because, of course, with the lineup, I think that we saw in today's game, I think is pretty close to the lineup that is probably what we're going to see during the regular season. So earlier in spring training, Freddie Freeman was asked, where he
stacked. You mean stacked by that lineup?
Yeah, that lineup was pretty ridiculous, right? But the thing is like earlier in spring training, they asked Freddie Freeman like where he was going to hit in the lineup, and he had said, "Well, we've already talked about it, and a decision was made," but he didn't share it with us. So then, when we saw it today, and we saw that Shohei was hitting in the 2 spot, and Freddie Freeman was hitting in the 3 spot, I really liked Dave Roberts' rationale as to why Shohei. Now, there is this adage that has now changed in baseball. Back in my time where I was becoming at least in my head, a little league MVP, the best hitter in your lineup always hit third. And then as years progress, it changed. And it was now your best hitter hits in the 2 spot. And not to brag, but my daughter hits in the 2 spot on her team. But anyways,
Yay!
Yeah, I digress. But the explanation for that is that you want your best hitter to get as many at bats as they can throughout the game. So, but what Dave Roberts was saying about Shohei was they wanted to take advantage by putting him in the 2 spot. They wanted to take advantage of his foot speed, and because it was going to create more scoring opportunities, and that Shohei is a stolen base threat. Look, one of the things, and I know everybody makes fun of me because this is a guy who pitches and he hits home runs, right? But yet I go around telling people the thing I'm most excited about seeing with Shohei is his base running. Because the few games that I saw when he was playing, I was so impressed on how this guy went from first to third. I was just like, this is like, because Shohei is huge. Like you and we've seen Shohei. Like Shohei is huge, and I just don't think someone that size should be moving that fast, especially if they're a baseball player. In
I mean,
football,
Freddie has wheels though. Like Freddie does the same thing. Dude, it's
yeah, but
super tall.
Shohei
Maybe
is like mass
that's
wise.
true.
Like Shohei is thicker than Freddie.
That's
But
true.
you're right.
No,
so
no,
that-
Juan, you're right. You're right.
Okay, what was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You're right.
I'm a little hard of hearing, Amy. What are you saying?
You're right.
Thank you. I always love it when you whisper it. I always seem to hear it better when you whisper it. But no, but it's so funny because everything that he was saying about Shohei in terms of base running and stealing bases, you're so right though, Amy. You could say the same thing about Freddie Freeman. Like I think Freddie Freeman is an underappreciated base runner.
I think he was saying something too about and again I was trying to catch this after work before we recorded, but something about like Shohei being such a free swinger that having Freddie behind him is also going to bolster how pitchers attack those first 3. So
Right.
and then setting it up for Will Smith. So I mean I think it all makes sense. I know people were highly anticipating this list being the roster and the lineup being released, and it was just like, okay, yeah, we'll see it. I mean,
Well,
but that's bitten me in the past. That's how I felt about the uniforms, and now look where we are. So
you reserve the right to change your opinion. I understand. The other thing that it was overanalyzed, and of course everything is overanalyzed with Shohei, was I guess he has a glove that he's been carrying around spring training. So there
like
is
a
this
Michael
belief.
Jackson glove, or like what kind of
Amy's
like
got jokes, everybody. Amy's
no,
got jokes.
I didn't see it. Like, is it one?
No,
Is it
like an
two?
actual fielding glove. Like
Oh,
I had heard this, and I just never thought it was a reality. That like, would they ever put him in the outfield? And so, look, and let's just clarify this. There is no intention of putting Shohei out in the field. And let's remind everybody, he is still recovering from that elbow, even though it doesn't look like it. Like when he was taking his batting practice and he was telling everybody that he wasn't even swinging hard and he was hitting home runs. And like it seems like he's taking it easy and he's building himself up. But there is no intention of putting Shohei on the field. But when that stuff leaked out, then I started seeing some narratives on social media where it was like, okay, when Shohei eventually stops pitching and he decides he's not going to pitch anymore, would you see him in the outfield? Could he play one of the corner outfield spots? Did I get you to contemplate there, Amy? Is that what that face is about?
So the 2 positions he plays right now, and granted, I understand he's got wheels, he can make it around the diamond, but that's running around the diamond, 1 at bat, however frequently that comes up in the lineup, and then he's pitching on the mound, which again takes some defensive skill, if you have comebackers and whatnot, but he's not fielding. So that's where my brain is going like, okay, so what kind of a change does that, he's an athlete though, so I'm sure he can overcome anything.
But I mean, look, this was just all to create content, right? I don't know who was the first person.
Now you're feeding into it. Here we are contemplating.
Well, no, because I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, well, this is what we do. This is how the show works, right? We just speculate on everything. If not, we're not going to have anything to talk about. Nobody wants to hear my takes on how my movie choices are better than Amy's. I am not a film snob.
You are totally a film. No, I'm just kidding. We like what we like.
But that, I mean, this is again, I just go back to this guy's ability. Like there were a lot of stories being written about how his attention to detail and like everything that he does for a reason. There's a purpose for what he does. So why is he carrying a glove around, right? But it's just one of those
Because he
things,
wants to. That's where I go. I'm like, because he wants to, he'll do with it what he wants when he does it. Like, we'll find out then.
right? Like, why is a baseball player carrying a baseball glove all of a sudden become, what's this about? Like, why does he have a glove?
Maybe he's gonna shag balls because you see some of the pitchers out there doing that too. Maybe he's not gonna throw, maybe he's just gonna catch. I don't know what his rehab looks like. Maybe that's part of it. Working up the muscles in his arm again.
Look, this is just another example about how everything with this guy gets overanalyzed. And so for him to be able to be as good and as successful as he is, I just stand in awe of him. I'm very excited to see how the rest of this season goes with him. But it was just, I literally, I just laughed. I was like, of course he hits a home run in his first spring training game. And last note on Ohtani, I know earlier in spring, he had said that he needs about 50 at-bats in order for him to be ready for the season. And one of the notes that Tim Neverett on the broadcast said today that I found interesting was, I believe last year with the Angels, he only had 11 at-bats in the Cactus League. So for me, that means I don't think we're going to see Ohtani in a lot of Cactus League games. Neverett was saying that the majority of his at-bats last year were on the backfields, on the practice fields. So I wonder if that's what we're going to see this spring, is we're going to see him, he's going to getting the majority of those 50 at-bats on those practice fields, on those backfields. But
Which is what they said. He'd probably be doing it, a lot of it indoors, outdoors when he has to work, his different programs. So I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm all in, Amy. I have submitted
Wow.
my application for a Shohei. I've seen enough. This man is Babe Ruth. It's the modern Babe Ruth. I've seen enough. I'm a Shohei. I have submitted my application. Let's see what happens.
I
But
will be here to keep your feet on the ground and celebrate with you on the side.
because I'm a very complex person, Amy, I can be both. I can be a Shohei and at the same time be very critical about how they overanalyze everything that this.
Oh, I know you can. You know who else though was a beast in that fifth inning? The one who started it off was Miguel Rojas with fouling a ball off his nose and staying in the game. I
At
was
first I thought it
watching
went off
it
his tooth. I thought it went off his tooth, and I
because
was
it
like,
was like you had the line of blood down his
yeah.
lip, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And he stayed in the game. I'd be like, all right, pinch hitter, I am ready to go. Like, I'm going to go ice my face so I can play again later the week. Dude stayed in. Like,
And a lot of
hardcore.
people didn't see this. It was released as footage later on, but this is a shout out to the Stalloners Club that when he started bleeding,
Oh, God.
Rojas
Here we
turned
go.
around and looked at the pitcher and said, "Hey, one more round. I didn't hear no bell. One more round. Stalloners Club, unite!"
We found at least one other in your club. So for that, you get to say nothing about my Jaws 3, whatever, quotes,
Why do you hate
movies.
Stallone? Why do you hate Stallone?
I
What did
actually
he ever
don't
do
hate
to you?
Stallone. I just don't like you hating on my Jaws 3. The
Stalloners
shark
Club
is
forever.
in the park. I will never get tired of sending you that Jaws 3 gif of awkward or absurd noises as the glass shatters.
This is why I am not a film elitist, because even if Amy hadn't told me she loves Jaws 3, when she says that line to me, I know exactly where that line is from. And it's
The
fascinating.
baby was in the park.
But
anyway, yeah. So for anybody who didn't see it, Miguel Rojas was at bat and he fouled the ball. I don't know if it was off the ground and then up into his face.
It bounced off the home plate. It hit like the corner
and then
of the home
up
plate.
right into hit. Like it looks like the ball just bounces and goes right back into like his mouth, nose area. And the way he flinched, and then he starts bleeding. I think they brought out a little bit of gauze to him. He's wiping. I'm just looking at like, oh, the blood on the shirt. But it's fine. They'll clean it out. But he went back through his at bat. I think he ended up he popped out to first, but he still went through it, and I think he still stayed in the game and played. Like, dude, stud.
Yeah, when the trainers came out, they picked up the sound on it, and it's I think it went something like this: where it's like, cut me, Mick, cut me. It's the Loners Club, unite!
I walked right into that one. I can only blame myself.
All right, offensively, right? Shohei was the story. I mean, look, let's not bury the lead. The Dodgers came back and won the game and remain still undefeated in spring training. And I get it, guys. It's spring training. These things don't matter. But again, the B team, the last few days has been coming back since Saturday, generating runs. And one of the guys, he's not necessarily on the B team because he started today's game. But this guy, Jose Ramos, he's only 23 years old. And I know he's only played in the Arizona League, but I'm very I got my eye on him. I want to see what he does the rest of spring
He's
training.
already homered. He's had some good games. I'm eyeballing my scorecards back there. I'm like, oh, they're so close.
Well, he's hitting 556. And the thing is I just feel every time he's at the plate, he hits the ball hard. So I'm curious to see. He's from Panama.
Yes.
So I'm curious to see where this guy develops, where they send him. Look, I know he has no shot of making the roster. I'm just curious as to where they're going to send him if they'll send him to Double-A, or if he has any chance like that, or if he's going to go to High A. He has caught my attention,
and the one I'm watching right now. There's a couple out there that they're having some good games, but Ramos is the one that I have my eye on.
Yeah, I would like to see more from this kid. And I think the fact that he started today's game, I think he's making an impression on the Dodgers organization, and they want to see more from this kid. So that I found interesting. But look, it's so funny. We all this talk about Shohei playing today, and it's like, hey, by the way, Bobby Miller made his Cactus League debut this year, and he just made one mistake, Amy. But other than that, I was surprised that he went 2 full innings. And I mean, he only gave up, he did give up 2 hits. But like I said, it was a mistake that he had 2 strikes on Eloy Jimenez, and he just left it right over the plate. And Eloy Jimenez made him work for it. But I mean, the 2 hits that he gave up, the other hit that he gave up, you got to tip your hat to that guy, because that was just a beautiful piece of hitting, him going opposite field on Bobby Miller. He had 1 strikeout, but look, I thought Bobby looked pretty good other than the mistake that he made.
Well, and he got himself in I wouldn't even say it was a jam in the first inning. I don't know if we expected perfection from him. Like, heaven forbid, he gave up 2 doubles on the second and third batter, but I mean, he got out of the inning. And so, like, and then he sat the next 3 down. So I mean, I think he had a good start, because again, it's spring training, emphasis on the training, and this was his first game out. So, I mean, if you're looking at expectations, like, to me, this was a good one. Like, he got back in the game.
It's funny because with all the Dodgers moves that they made, it's almost like you forget that Bobby Miller is on this team. And Bobby Miller last year, at least going into the playoffs, a lot of people were arguing that he should have pitched game 1. So I'm curious to see what the sophomore, the same way we were talking about James Outman, I'm very curious to see how Bobby Miller's sophomore year turns out. Talking about someone else, another rookie, Gavin Stone. Well, I know you and I were both talking about Gavin Stone and Michael Grove. I think Gavin Stone looked better than Michael Grove today. I think Gavin Stone got some bad luck. There was
and
a
his
ball
ERA reflects it right now.
He had some bad luck. There was a ball that was hitting the hole. That was the only hit he gave up. Sweeney tried to make the play on it, but it was just the throw ended up pulling Padlo off the bag. But look, Stone, he only gave up 1 earned run, and he almost went 2 innings. So I just feel like this is the second time we've seen Gavin Stone in Cactus League, and he looks different to me than from last year.
And I mean, but again, this is just them like just stretching out. They both faced 7 batters. Grove, it looks like, got into a little trouble, but that wasn't it. This was his second time pitching. I don't. He's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
out
this was
already once. Yeah.
yeah. This was
But
Michael Grove's second, and the thing is, he gave up a 3-run home run. So
yeah.
that's going to be a huge thing. But he also did give up 3 hits in that inning.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the nature of spring training. And I'd rather they do it here, work it out, and depending on if they end up in the rotation at some point or in the bullpen or piggybacking, do it here. Work out those kinks here. And Blake Treinen came out and pitched an inning too. He has a 0 ERA. Good for him.
Yeah, Blake
So,
Treinen made his Cactus League debut this year, and then did what I think what the Dodgers are hoping Blake Treinen is going to be able to do on a consistent basis. We heard from him at Dodgers Fest. He
mhm.
feels healthy. I mean, it has been the last 2 years he has been dealing with injuries, so hopefully he can stay healthy for this whole year because that guy's stuff is just filthy. It really. I've always said this watching him pitch. I don't even think he knows where the ball is going. There is so much movement on his pitches.
Well, and he was set, like, he could have been our closer prior to that injury. I think he pretty much had that slot until, things went a little bit south, and then, we're closer by committee at this point. But I mean, if he comes back and he's in like regular season form, like, good for him. Like, I hope he does really well, now that hopefully the injury is behind him.
So it finally happened, Amy. Ohtani made his debut as a Dodger. He was in a game, and now things will go all back to normal, right, Amy? And everything is just now about baseball.
Oh, 100%. I'm sure tomorrow will be no different. Just as an aside, I did light that candle for you, so I'm sure Pedro is on his way over here to work in our organization sometime
And
soon.
for those of you who don't know what she's talking about Pedro Guerrero, one of the greatest
Mhm.
Dodgers ever. He deserves his due. Yes, as you hinted, Yamamoto will be making his Cactus League debut tomorrow. So I don't think it'll be as crazy as today, but I am looking forward to that to see how he looks in a live game. We've gotten rave reviews from his bullpens and with other hitters sitting in the batter's box. So yeah, I can't wait to see that. We're
Before
gonna
you
wrap.
get pre frustrated, just remember it's training. Whatever happens tomorrow, it's fine.
Thank you. I appreciate that reminder. I usually don't get that worked up. But usually for spring training, what I do is I get a little too excited, right? And then of course the regular season starts and reality sinks in where I'm like, oh, people are really trying now and they're like throwing their best stuff. But anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, any last words before we get out of here?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. So here's the reminder, everybody. Make sure you follow us on the social media. You can follow us on X at BB Shangri-La. You can follow us on Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Leave us comments. We want to go ahead and engage with one another. Look, we've done 2 episodes this week, and this is why you guys need to follow us on the social media because we do episodes whenever Amy and I decide let's do an episode. We want to go ahead and talk to each other. So if you're not following us on social media or you're not subscribed to the YouTube, you're not going to know that we've dropped an episode. So this has been you've been listening, watching to another episode of Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas and I am Juan Ramirez. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.